What is good, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us once again on another tasty episode of the Coffee Roaster warm-up sessions. We apologize for not dropping an episode last week, or did we?
We did. That was the one with Micah, right? The week before we didn't.
The week before we didn't. That's right, because we had a.
I mean, you weren't on the
technical
episode.
man.
You were like,
yeah, that's right. Maybe that's why I
that's
felt
what it
like, but yeah,
sitting in the chair, live audience.
that's right. That's right. We need a little fact checker in the corner there, or some kind of commentator on the side that you just occasionally ask a question.
Makes it fun.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have heard of Lou or Unboxed Therapy on YouTube. He has a huge YouTube channel. He started with just unboxing like cool tech gadgets and did reviews. And then now he like drops an insane amount of clips where he just talks about like news and just gives his take on.
Yeah.
It's super good because like he's actually super hilarious, I think, and he has like this sarcastic like take to him. But he also has like two like spectators on the spot that he'll randomly like ask questions to, and they like respond, and then he makes fun of them. It's such a great model. Like I love watching his stuff. Like I'll watch his episodes. So I don't know, it's fun. Anyways, so no, we did not miss an episode last time. So, yeah, just pouring some batchy like always. I'm so dehydrated. Wow. So dehydrated.
It's been a stretch for me. I feel like I have to unglue my eyelids from my eyes. They're like sticking.
Peel them right off the glass or what?
Eyelids are definitely overrated.
Eyelids are overrated?
Yeah. Don't need no eyelids. You can stay awake all day. Dude. Many days in a row.
I don't know. I think eyelids are properly rated.
Dude, they're human windshield wipers. What are you talking about?
That name's underrated right there. We should change eyelashes to human windshield wipers. That's it. It's like, how are your windshield wipers feeling? Oh, they're great.
I don't know if my cup was like cold or what. How is this batch brew like lukewarm already?
This is optimal taste for me. Taste temperature. I like it. It's cooled down a little bit. I took it off the heater. The
warmer.
The warmer, the heat pad. The heat stove. Yeah.
Reminds me of one of those candle warmers.
The candle warmers?
Yeah, have you seen those?
No.
Oh, there's these like devices. They're super cheesy. Like you can buy them at like the dollar store. They don't garbage. But what it does, it's just like a pad, or it's not a pad. It's like made out of plastic. And you set a candle. You don't have to light a candle. But if your candle is aromatic, it'll start melting it, and you can smell it, and it doesn't even have to burn.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What burns? The candle or the
Nothing
pad?
burns. It just warms up the wax, and the wax starts releasing fumes.
What?
Yeah. You can also...
This is a scam. Technology has gone way too far. This is so bad.
It's like a 90s creation.
This is horrible. Why would you have such a... This is the worst piece of technology.
Why would you buy a candle that you don't want to burn? I don't know.
Exactly.
But, I don't know. Maybe some folks just buy candles for the sake of...
You don't walk around with a candle like, giving you light through the hallways as you walk around, like a lantern.
I actually like woodwick candles. They make good like sounds. Fire, sound, it's smell. It's a 3-dimensional experience.
I
don't know why you would want to put it on a warmer. I don't know. Maybe it's a hot take. Maybe that's what everybody does.
This is literally the first time I'm hearing this. This is horrible.
Okay, I have a hunch. It's because some apartment complexes don't allow open flame. That could be it. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Well, did you hear that?
That was kind of
that was the hot pad. Just a little drip.
Whoa. It's like, we need to remember to take out the filter out of the basket. Sometimes
I never check the bed. Yeah.
Sometimes we leave the filter in there, and then next week comes around and we brew another batch, and there happens to be a mold fest in there.
Koji?
Oh God. Oh God. No.
Oh, this coffee slaps.
It's a pretty tasty brew.
Yeah.
Even with the perfect coffee water.
Yeah. It's
pretty dialed.
Daled.
It's
Dale.
We need to invite Dale on the podcast.
Hey, Dale. Are you listening?
The Eagle Sniper.
Oh, that Dale.
Yeah, that
I was
Dale.
thinking of another Dale. All the flavors.
Nice juicy mouthfeel. Super juicy. Super mouthwatering. Nice textures. Just goes down very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing rough. Nothing edgy there. Just a very nice solid cup of coffee. It's powerful.
What's that sweetness that you're picking up on the back end? Not necessarily chocolate, but it's something there.
You know, this coffee this is the coffee that always just reminds me of,
Yes.
what is it? It's, I was just downing whole cans of it. La leche.
Oh.
What is it?
Sweetened condensed milk.
Sweetened condensed milk.
Yeah. They've been eating those crepes.
That's right. Dipping the grape straight into the can of la leche.
That was sitting on a
sweetened
warmer.
condensed milk. Oh man, that's what this coffee reminds me of. It's like a sweetened condensed milk. It's like the syrupy milkiness to it, but then there's also that grape aspect that adds in a little bit of acidity and brightness within the sweetness. I would say like the clarity isn't bonkers on this.
Yeah.
But it's in my opinion, but it's not. Yeah, it's not like insane, complex, but it's just like this rich, thick, like condensed milk and like acidity and grape, like a grape almost.
I'm glad we just sent a bag to our friend on the subscription. It's unreleased coffee, so
I don't know when we're gonna drop it. Maybe we won't ever drop it.
I mean,
folks, should Mir have a secret menu?
Coded menu?
We need to
podcast only menu?
We need to have. We've already talked about this, and it's been on my mind. A group of people that we send samples to.
Oh yeah.
That's our advisory board, the council, and it's
tasting council.
And it's just a group of people that we just cup coffees with, taste, go back and forth with, and you're part of this small little community that jumps online that we talk about just all things coffee, but we ship samples to you of pre-released, unreleased coffees. It's been on my mind. I don't know if it's ever gonna happen, but usually with ideas, I don't know if it's the same with you. I have a lot of ideas. There's like too many ideas. Actually, I was listening to there's so much. I was listening to a Jay Shetty podcast, and he said that the chances of something actually coming to be, when you have an idea, when you just get an idea, there's a 10% chance that it's actually going to come to fruition. So the fact that you have an idea pretty much just there's like a very slim chance it's actually ever going to happen. There needs to be more things that you need to set up for those chances. Anyways, the whole podcast is about that. Anyways, that being said, what I'm saying is I usually have a lot of ideas, but usually they have to simmer like bacon on a skillet where it's just like sizzling. And once it sizzles a lot and the the aromas are spanking and you're just feeling like you want a slice of this bacon, you're like, all right, it's time to crack an egg or, throw it on the biscuit that I had this morning at Narrative or something, Yeah. But if it's usually like a lot of ideas get filled, like it's time and tested. Like if it's just been, if it's been on my mind and it just like dies out over time, I'm just like, okay, it wasn't worth it.
I would say a lot of my ideas are like, there's a crock pot for one. It's a slow cooker.
It's a slow cooker. It's a little sauna.
Yeah, there's a crock pot for one. I think there's another one. It's like a chili. Like it's gonna be long, but it's gonna be quicker than a crock pot. But then there's also like pancakes or crepes. Like you got to flip those puppies. And if you're not flipping them, if you're not moving along, they're just gonna burn. So those ideas are usually like, they're kind of lackluster. They're kind of basic ideas.
And you have to flip them?
Yeah, you have to flip them, hurry up.
Or throw them away.
No, you flip like a pancake. You got to flip it to the other side. You see the bubbles. You put it on the first side. Do you know how to make pancakes really well? This is a top secret. I don't know if anyone knows this.
I'm pretty bad at making anything but coffee.
Here's the thing: is like I always use a 1/4 cup measuring cup, so I put some batter and sitting there sizzling on the griddle. And then when you see the bubbles, you know it's time to flip. Like the bubbles start. I'm not joking. I think I'm going off track on this podcast.
I'm just envisioning the title of this podcast being like "Secrets to Making Great Pancakes." It's like it's an episode we've never ever been able to air before, but it just drops for the podcast folk.
And we actually had a plan to say something. We're 11 minutes in. We're still like talking about pancakes.
Anyways, finish your secret.
All I was gonna say is like I have like different areas of ideas. I have a crock pot. I have a simmering chili, and I have a quick flip pancake.
How do you know where which ideas go where?
I don't. I look back. Like when you look back, those ideas, like everything you see in clarity when you look back, you're like, that was definitely a pancake idea.
Oh my gosh.
Then you look back at some ideas and you're like, that's still in the crock pot, moving along, but it's starting to fill the place with aromas, but it's not edible yet.
Slow cooker, yeah.
Slow cooker, yeah. I can barely pronounce my words.
On the other side of things, I saw some devastating news from one of my favorite roasters in the country. We call it regalia, but I also heard Emily from Catalyst on a story say it's regalia.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. So I can't. That's what I thought also. Anyways, it's a coffee roasting company based out of New York. They had a fire at the roastery, and it burned down, made a lot of destruction, and the roaster's gone, and fresh coffees are gone, and
they had green in that room too.
Yeah.
Wow.
The roastery.
So a very hot roast.
That was
That's
you
a bummer.
Get a dark roast, at some point there's nice caramelization happening, and then the things just went south. So yeah, it's unfortunate actually, really, because stuff like that just takes time to when you're in business and you're kind of expecting things to come through month to month, and all of a sudden something like this just comes through and destroys. Even if you have insurance, you're still suffering a loss. And even if you're suffering a loss of items, of infrastructure, of the things that you've built up, but then you're also losing time. Yeah. And who knows how long that remodeling is going to cost, and how long it's going to take. And so it's just so unfortunate. Friends, if you want to support Regalia, which I would 100% encourage you to, if you've ever had their coffee. If you haven't, you should. But if you haven't, go on their Instagram at Regalia Coffee, and they have a GoFundMe account that they're raising some money in. I might probably toss them in there this weekend and support them. But it's just unfortunate. It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
But it also just happens.
Yeah. And now, the fundraiser is great. Hopefully their insurance kicks in. But one of those things that you mentioned is time. That's something... You can't raise any finances to get that back, and insurance is going to cover that. And with rebuilding comes new equipment. Like, they're going to have to reset all of that. I can imagine if that would have happened to us. We've been roasting out of basically our own space this whole time, and very minimal setup. Even if we did have something like that, we would lose the roaster and lose, maybe our grinder. I don't think we would suffer that heavy of a loss because we don't have that much space. Yeah. But it would still be devastating to lose our roaster. And I think that also makes me think kind of switching gears here, and turning a little bit, thinking about our actual roaster, our Dietrich. I don't know, does Regalia roast on Dietrich as well?
I think they actually roast on a Mill City.
Really? Wow. So speaking of that, that's a good little pivot point there.
I think they also have a Regalia Coffee Collective, which is like a co-roasting space.
Oh,
So I don't know.
cool.
I don't know what the kind of roasters they have in their space, but I remember from the roast defect kits, he mentioned that it's a Mill City. I think a 15 kg that they're roasting on.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I've seen Mill City roasters. I've personally never roasted on one.
Yeah.
But both you and I, like, we've both roasted on Dietrich's before, and then in Florida I roasted on the Ambex, and then you roasted on the Loring.
No big
So
deal.
I think yeah, no big deal, right? Yeah. Actually, side note, do you remember going to Jacksonville and visiting Vagabond and going into their roastery?
Yeah, it was like a secret room.
It was a secret room.
I thought I was gonna get jumped in there.
They were
spooky.
it was still pretty private. Andrew we were buds, so he brought me in. And that's when they got their San Franciscan. That was the very beginning of that age for them.
Interesting.
I think the question that's like going around in my mind, like if something like that was to happen to us, would we still buy a Dietrich? Do you think?
It's a good question. Honestly, I personally don't have any issues with the Dietrich.
Right.
I mean, I do. There's one issue. It's really the low gas setting. At least the way it's set up on our machine, where it's kind of hard to reach very low gas settings before you go into pilot. It's pretty much between
Stops
1
at
and
1.
0.
Yeah.
There's no middle, which especially if you're going into crack, sometimes you need. You can't do 0 because it rips. It takes away so much energy.
Yeah.
But 1 is a little too much.
Right.
And then that little range between 0 and 1.5 is a little sketchy and weird how the burner works. So that's my only downside. And I don't mind having actually 2 air settings.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I know there are other machines that have variable drum speed and variable air settings, like unlimited air settings, because it's like a dial. And I'm like, honestly, this air setting, one air setting, it takes away one more variable for me to worry about.
Yeah.
And it's never been a time where I was like, oh, I need 32% air. Like, it gets the job done.
There's really only been one coffee where we've done multiple air changes throughout
that was pretty feisty.
And that was an interesting roast, but it came out. Actually, there was another one. Our Peru, right? We did multiple air changes. So it's not that we don't believe in like using air as a variable to adjusting what we want in the roast curve, but it's more or less, it's not our like primary, it's not our focus. So it works really well with the Dietrich. I would agree with you. I love the Dietrich in general. Like the outside appearance of it, the aesthetic, it fits. It's got a very, very cool look. I mean, it's definitely not a San Franciscan from the outside.
No, San Franciscans are beautiful machines.
Yeah.
But I will say though, like one thing I do enjoy about a Dietrich, which I've heard multiple people say, is that they're very easy to work with. They're very easy to take apart and put together.
Yes.
It's built so simple and basic. It's like just the basic necessities of how do we get the drum to turn and how do we get the air to blow.
Yeah.
It's very, very simple. And, the time when I used to roast for primer, when we had that whole malfunction happening, like our dad literally went in there, was like, cool, this is how it works. You just take out the fan, you replace this motor, this, that, you connect it here. Very, very simple. To the point where, we were able to pull off a repair on our own and get the machine back and running. And that's huge. That's a huge, big deal. And so the way how the cooling bin is situated, the way where the chaff gets collected is very simple and very basic. It's just the simplicity of it is kind of nice. It's not intimidating, and when things go wrong, you are not scrambling to necessarily find somebody who where you're just like, this is too confusing, so, and their customer service is excellent. Just a lot of really good things, and a lot of roasting companies that we love roast on one, and it's pretty excellent.
I mean, and also when it comes to like other equipment that we've like used, like the EKs, I don't think we would ever replace our EKs if something devastating happened.
Maybe.
You think?
I think so.
For like a batch, big like
I think
we looked at all the stats though.
I think a batch, the Ditting grinders are really intriguing to me. I'd be intrigued. They're nowhere near as beautiful as the EK. The EK is by far, tech wise, spec wise, it's probably one of the fastest grinders.
I thought we settled that when we looked.
Let alone,
maybe I missed something.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of like you guys got the Narrative got the new Ditting one that they're using. I don't know how they're liking it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's not, I'll tell you what, it's not going to replace the EK.
They're not jiving with it?
Or
what's the verdict there? Or is it unknown? You can't say?
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Okay.
It's cool, but it's
TBD.
Yeah. One thing, like with that grinder is like when I turned around and I was sitting at the long table in Everett, and I turned around and I was like, why is there such an empty space? Like, what's going on? I didn't know that the grinders were replaced. But the Ditting was so small that it basically almost looked like it was flush with the counter from my angle. Like you couldn't even see it. It was hiding behind the coffee air pots. Yeah. So from that point of view,
I think from like a big quantity grinder, maybe we wouldn't. But from like, for example, we have the EK43S in here. Mm-hmm. That's what we use for cuppings, for batch brews, for pour overs, all that jazz. I think for that price point, there's probably like a better grinder, especially with the new ones that are coming out. Yeah. Like if we could, snag a little like Weber, something insane.
Yeah, single dose.
Yeah, single dose, very minimal. The only thing is that we bought that EK43S nearly brand new.
Yeah.
For a spanking deal that we weren't even looking for a grinder.
Yeah.
But it came up and we're like, we can't pass up on this. Because it was just so for the price, honestly, we won. So I don't know. Yeah. But if we were to have to buy it again.
Speaking of grinders, because I just moved. I haven't set up my coffee bar. And I don't even know what I'm going to do for a coffee bar at home. There's two things that I'm thinking about right now. Like, should I even have a coffee bar at home nowadays? Like, I got that new ratio 6, which I'm loving right now. Mm-hmm. I'm brewing more on the ratio 6 than pour overs at home. And that leads me to the
ratio slaps, though.
Yeah. But that leads me to the question, like, why do I'm most of the time, like, this week has been even crazy. I'm 40 plus hours at Narrative.
Yeah.
Like, do I even need to brew coffee at home? You know what I mean? Or if I'm not,
fair enough. Yeah.
If I'm not at Narrative, then I can go in and get a free shot of espresso or a free drip or a filter. You know what I mean? Like not a free filter, but Yeah. So it's like the options are like pretty next level. So my thought right now is I still want to have coffee stuff because that's the crazy part. I want to experiment and do something, but I'm kind of annoyed with my Ode right now. I'm also annoyed with the fact that I can't find any SSP or Gorilla Gear burrs. So, folks, if you're listening, you got a pair. You want to hook me up, please. We don't have a Patreon account, but I'll receive free gifts. Or even I would buy it, literally. Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, at some point, we see this happening, like, a lot on social media. It's like, folks are like flipping coffee bars like left and right. It's like all of a sudden there's like a new toy and
new gears,
new this, new that, and I'm just like, sheesh, that scared me again. But I'm just thinking like, what do I do now that I moved? Should I buy new gear? Should I wait? I don't know. Do I move away from the Ode? Because I really like I love your Baratza.
I hate the Ode. I have not tried it with the new burrs, which you have to pay another like $150 or something for them. Well, I don't know. Don't quote me. It's a beautiful grinder. It's nice. They did everything right, but the fact that it can't brew pour over, and then you have to add
V1 burrs,
and then you have to pay extra for the pour over set, so to speak, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like at that point, it's like now you're paying a beefy price.
Yeah.
The most attractive thing is that the Ode was priced the way it was, and it could grind really well at that price. But it just can't grind fine enough, which is the downside, which I'm like, I love it, but I don't love it for that. And I'm like,
that's why I use the Comandante a lot.
If I was you, I'd just sell the Ode.
Oh, sheesh.
Sell the ode, get a dual, like double Commandante, or sell the ode and you know, pick something else up with that money, because you can probably find something for that price point. But really, you know, like I think when it comes to gear, for me, there's a lot of flashy new things that are coming out all the time, which is not bad. Like you can jump around gear, and it's always fun to get a new piece of gear is probably one of the most exciting things. Is like you can experiment with something new. But to me, if you know everything were to get destroyed for me and I'd have to start over or whatever, the big thing is like for me, like I wanted to do a good job, but I'm not gonna fuss over the small little intricacies. For me, actually, what matters most is actually the user experience and whether or not I feel comfortable with the piece of gear. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which has actually less to do with necessarily the quality of it, but more how it's set up. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, because I think right now, like if you, like for grinders, anything over like $500-600 is going to get you something pretty decent. Like it's going to be able to get you a spectacular cup of coffee. If you have the Stag, it's a great kettle, you know? Anything in that Stag price range is going to be great. Yeah. You know, you have a solid scale, and then you have like your pour over gear. For me, all those things, if they flow really nice in my workflow and there's no weird things about them, and some grinders do have that, or some pieces of gears do, then I'm happy, you know? Yeah. And then that's up to me as a skilled barista. Can I pull off a tasty brew or not? And that...
But I mean, you're even talking about adding to your artillery and getting a espresso machine. Still thinking?
Yeah.
I think
I'm thinking, and the only reason why I'd get an espresso machine is because I think for me to be able to, I just want to have a bigger understanding of the coffee that we're serving. Yeah, and find words more of a business purchase. It's definitely more of like a business thing, and a coffee roasting thing than it is, you know, anything else. So,
it's big. So a lot of those like flips and changes on a coffee bar. Sometimes at this point, I feel like for me, it's like even you telling me like you should sell the ode. I'm like, is it really worth it? The hassle of selling the ode.
Dude, just sell it. Get rid of it.
I don't know. I just don't want to change my coffee bar. That's the one
thing that is worth it. Really,
half my coffee gear is still in boxes. It's chilling.
It's true.
You know, I don't know.
That being said, as we wrap up here, what's one piece of coffee gear, coffee equipment that you've purchased that you just absolutely hate, or that you just don't use, or it just felt like a waste of money?
Wow, I don't know. I don't know of any coffee gear that I have that I absolutely hate. There's
maybe not hate, but you just don't you bought it and it just sits around collecting dust. Sure, you'll take it out occasionally, but
okay. So there's a piece of equipment that I didn't pay full price with. Does that count?
Sure.
I just have it on bar. It's the Clara French press.
Oh god.
It looks cool. It looks cool on the counter.
Okay.
It just chills.
Fair enough.
Right there.
Fair enough.
I mean, most of the coffee gear that I have, I do utilize a lot. I would say the French press and the Chemex, I don't utilize as much. Yeah. Even though I decided to bust it out. Like once. I was there. Yeah, exactly. Like that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
But I would say like most of the other coffee gear I do use a lot. Everything changes when, I guess for us, owning a roasting company. Yeah. Like when we have coffees that we're trying to figure out or dial in on the roaster. Yeah. I will brew it on the Stag X. I'll brew it on the V60. I'll brew it on the Triplet, and then I'll try to figure out like what it tastes like. And then even within a V60, I have a rubber V60 and a plastic V60. I don't use a ceramic one, but you have one right there, so you do that. So I do that from more of almost like a QC point of view, not enough. A preference wise. I think if I need a very, very quick brew, I don't have time to like finagle and make everything. I grab the V60 and just go for it. Excellent. I don't have to create a custom filter. I don't have to do anything. I just drop it in. That's it.
Yeah.
So
that's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I don't know what I would say that I just don't use. I think I use most of my gear. My setup is also pretty slim. I mean, depends on who you ask, I guess. But I think one thing that I thought I'd use more, and this is not necessarily like a home brewing piece of gear, but well, I have a couple mugs that I bought that mugs. I don't.
That's right.
I have this small little cortado, little cuties that I from Fellow that are just really nice, but I just don't use them enough.
So you don't have a espresso machine, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
you did.
Maybe that's and I did buy them when I did have the espresso machine, so that might come into use. But also the Groove sifter.
Oh yeah.
Is it? I don't know. I bought it initially more specifically for green bean sizing, like a little, what are they called? Screens. So that's what I initially bought it for, and I thought maybe it might come into handy with the ground screen as well. But
we used it once.
I used it a couple times. Jot down some data in an Excel sheet, and then it just sits collecting dust, and it's hecka expensive.
Yeah,
and so that's one thing that I'm just like, oh man, I just need to use it now to justify the purchase.
Yeah. I mean, to a degree, it's kind of good for calibration, but I would not really brew sifted coffee.
I wouldn't either. Yeah. I'm like,
I remember when those things came out, and I was like, oh man, that's next level. My cups of coffees are gonna suck now because I'm not sifty.
Yeah. I haven't heard very much about the Fellow with the shimmer.
Oh, the shimmy.
Yeah. It just kind of like died. I don't know if it's beneficial. Maybe for people with like blade grinders, because that's kind of what it was directed towards. But
I guess at that point, just buy a hand crank grinder. I don't know. Anyway, the good thing is we don't need to replace any gear. No. We're doing okay. Yeah. The sad thing is that Regalia is gonna have a tough time replacing gear, and hopefully the best.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, best. Just all the positive vibes towards them to get all their things in a row: gear replaced, coffee replaced, business back up and running. They paused their website, yeah?
I don't know.
Something like that.
I think it just turned into a GoFundMe.
Okay.
On the website.
Cool.
I don't know.
Cool.
But that's a wrap, folks. Don't buy gear you don't want to use, but also be intentional with your gear purchases. And, honestly, you don't need that much to brew a really tasty cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But once again, thank you so much for listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment below. What do you use? What do you like to use? What do you hate using? What do you not use anymore? What do you want to get rid of? Drop it down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a review if you're listening on podcasts.
Yes.
But otherwise, folks, thank you so much for listening. And remember to reflect what's good.